Collectibles are weird, aren't they? Having to collect specific objects just in order to progress the story or earn a power-up or even learn something about the world that you may have not even noticed. They seem to be a universal thing when it comes to making a great game, and I came to the realization that a lot of them suck. Now hear me out. I love collectathons. They're what introduced me to video games. Having to collect crystals and power cells and God knows what. It was the bread and butter of my childhood. But as I've gotten older, it seems that the era of collectathons and unique collectibles have plummeted to say the least. That's what I'm talking about today. How's it going, nation? Welcome to PlayStacin, and today we are going to be talking about collectibles found in video games. Obviously, I won't be able to tackle them all, but I've managed to separate the subject into 3 categories. Category 1 is the collectathon. It's a genre of gaming, usually in cartoon platformers, where the main mechanic of the game is to collect a specific item in order to progress through the game. Category 2, games with collectibles. Let's face it, every game has one. But the games that I'll be covering for this category range more in line with collectibles that reward the player for going out of their way to collect them. And finally, Category 3, pointless collectibles, or collectibles without purpose. Whatever you want to call it. These types of collectibles serve little to no purpose. They were only added in to fill in the extra runtime. Most developers disguise these as bits of lore to help expand the overall world. Look, I'm a sucker for good world building, but I really don't want to spend time reading a screen. I'm here to play games. There is a lot to cover here, and I doubt I'm going to be able to tackle every single game imaginable that fits into these categories, and maybe there's going to be some pushback. Overall, we're going to have a good time, so please be sure to keep both arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times, and enjoy the ride. Let's start with Category 1, the classic Collectathon. Defined as any game that is based on the premise that in order to make progress in the game, you must collect a threshold of items. Now this is my favorite type of game. For those who aren't aware, I love cartoon platformers. The first game I ever played was a cartoon platformer. You might not be familiar with him. He's very niche, very indie. The very first video game I ever played was none other than Crash Bandicoot Warped. You didn't say it right. Crash Bandicoot Warped! The Crash Bandicoot franchise, specifically the Insane trilogy, have always been favorites of mine, especially Warped, because I feel the level variety is varied compared to its predecessors. Its gameplay loop is also varied, but I'm not going to dive deep into that, as that isn't the topic of this video. Uka Uka has been freed from his prison, and has tasked Cortex with collecting the crystal so that he can rule the world. However, Crash has already collected the crystals, so Uka Uka suggests collecting crystals from the past, using Entropy's Time Twister machine. Aku Aku senses his brother's freedom, and sends both Crash and Coco to the machine in order to collect these crystals before Cortex can. Simple story with a simple gameplay loop. In order to progress to the next warp room, we must collect 5 crystals and defeat a boss that's guarding the next set of levels. Collect 25 crystals, beat the game. In Ape Escape, the evil monkey Vector has found a way to control the other monkeys of the world and have scattered them throughout time to mess with the timeline. So Spike has been tasked with capturing these monkeys in order to save history. In order to progress, Spike must capture a specific amount of monkeys from each time period to then face a boss that's blocking you from reaching the next set of levels. Sound familiar, right? In Spyro the Dragon, Nasty Nork has turned all the dragons into crystals, and Spyro must go out of his way to free them from their crystallic prison. However, progressing works a bit differently in Spyro, as the dragons aren't the only collectible needed to progress. While the dragons are the primary collectible found in the game, there are 2 other collectibles Spyro must collect in order to progress to the next set of levels. In order to move from the Peacemaker realm to the Magic Crafters realm, the balloonist asks Spyro to collect 1,200 gems. And in the following realm, they get from magic crafters to beast makers, the balloonist will ask you to collect 5 dragon eggs in order to progress. Well, I'm most definitely wrong here. Spyro the Dragon was one of the first collectathons to introduce subcategories for collectibles, and it seems to me that this formula is what developers would strive to follow for future years. Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, is one of my favorite games of all time. I play it multiple times a year because the world is so big and lush, and it really pushed what the PlayStation 2 was capable of back in the day. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Spyro the Dragon is what shaped how Jak and Daxter's progressive system, as there are 3 different collectibles found throughout the game. The primary one being, of course, the Power Cell. In order to progress from each hub, you must collect a certain amount of power cells in order to continue. 20 power cells for the Fire Canyon, 45 for the Mountain Pass, and 72 for the Lava Tube. As for the other 2 collectibles, there are the Precursor Orbs, which can be used to purchase power cells from different characters throughout the game. And then, there are the Scout Flies. Each level contains 7 of these bad boys, and once you collect all 7 in a level, you'll receive a power cell for that level. Am I making any sense here? Another top tier collectathon I catch myself playing every year is SpongeBob SquarePants' Battle for Bikini Bottom, which also follows the same formula that Spyro set up all those years ago. Plankton has built a machine that builds him a robot army, but he accidentally set the switch to disobey mode, so now robots are destroying the city, and SpongeBob and his friends must stop the robot army by collecting golden spatulas scattered throughout the various levels. Why golden spatulas? Because it's SpongeBob. Heavy Iron Studios and even Purple Lamp wanted to go in heavy with the SpongeBob references, and the golden spatula was the best thing that they could have come up with to serve as a primary collectible. As for the secondary collectibles, we have shiny objects, which serve as this game's equivalent to the gem from Spyro or the Precursor Orb from Jak and Daxter, and can be used to buy various golden spatulas from Mr. Krabs. And then there are Patrick's Missing Socks, where every 10 socks you return to Patrick, he'll reward you with 1 golden spatula. Which brings me to my next point. You ever notice how in every collectathon, the main character's friends and family just hold on to the things you need to collect? I mean, think about it. Patrick Star, SpongeBob's best friend, is holding on to 10 golden spatulas, and he won't give it to you without payment? Hunter from Spyro 2 and 3 is holding actual children hostage, unless you can prove to him that you can jump. Ham and Mr. Potato Head, they know we're trying to find Woody, and they know we need Pizza Planet tokens, but they want some money for their troubles. You want me to find your arm just because you weren't responsible enough to keep an extra up your ass? Andy's not gonna play with you, Ham, just because you got a few extra dollars in your ass, because now you're heavy as hell thanks to all the tokens you've eaten. Fat ass. The last collectathon I'm going to be touching on is Super Mario Odyssey, because it does a lot to evolve the collectathon genre. In the game, this mythical hat named Cappy wants to help Mario save Peach from Bowser, but in order to do so, you need to collect power moons to power up your spaceship in order to travel to the different kingdoms. This is what I respect about the Mario franchise. There's no big plot. It hands you a premise and tells you, go nuts. No, not those nuts. The game doesn't tell you what moons you need to find. It just gives you a quota and expects you to have fun, getting lost in these kingdoms the developers have crafted. And that's pretty much every 3D Mario game. Nintendo gives you an environment and tells you to have fun. They tell you what you need to collect, but they don't share how to collect them. Collect them in any order you want. Progress through the game however you want. There's a reason why Super Mario is the pinnacle of 3D platformers and collectathons. It's pure joy that's just hard to replicate. Games with collectibles. Oh, sweet. I found some garbage. But Stacin, you just talked about games with collectibles. What's the difference? Well, let me tell you. They're there! The games I'm going to be talking about aren't centered around collecting to progress, but games that feature collectibles throughout the game for players to collect for various items or upgrades. For example, Stellar Blade has soda cans as a collectible that you can collect, and when you find one, it's hilarious. She will excitedly turn to the camera and show off the soda that she found. And I've never related to a character more. This is the exact feeling I feel whenever I open up a Coke. I'm honestly all for developers creating a unique animation for collecting anything in a game. It's not just another number on the screen, it's a whole ass moment that deserves a celebration. You did it! After you find all 49 cans of soda, you unlock a cool cosmetic that has nothing to do with the collectible. I'm for it. The point I'm trying to make is that there are games that offer rewards for going out of your way to collect something. The Sly Cooper series have clue bottles that you can collect to unlock different abilities from Sly's Thievius Raccoonus. You don't have to collect them, but if you want to up Sly's repertoire and restore his family heirloom, you're gonna need to find them all. You also receive a bonus cutscene for collecting all the clues and pages of the Thievius Raccoonus, which are pretty sweet rewards. Though in hindsight, maybe I should have put Sly 1 in the category 1 because you actually need to collect keys in order to progress, when Sly 2 was kind of when the collectibles took a back seat. Platformer sequels tend to do this with their games. The first game of the franchise will have a heavy focus on collectibles, and then the edgier sequel will just hide collectibles out in the wild, just waiting for some brave adventurer to find. Jak 2 and the Precursor Orb. In the first game, I touched on Precursor Orbs being the main source of currency within that game, but in Jak 2, they're now ancient artifacts of the past that can be traded for in-game cheats. I honestly think Jak 2 handles this better than its sequel, because a majority of the orbs are actually well hidden, while as in Jak 3, the world is practically just giving them away. Wait, for trash! Like what happened? I understand that with wanting to overhaul the core gameplay, there has to be some changes, but you're telling me the cool edgy stuff can't collect things from time to time?
I guess you guys are in.
Oh, that's why. Thank God Ratchet & Clank has never steered away from their core gameplay loop, because Ratchet & Clank has never been a collectathon. Insomniac didn't want to retread water from their Spyro days, so they made Golden Bolts a background collectible that you could find and collect for golden weapons on New Game Plus. Or, since I'm using footage from the 2016 movie game, absolutely nothing. In this case, the Golden Bolts reward nostalgia. Rift Apart changed this with Golden Bolts, rewarding the player with different weapon skins and cheats, which is the closest to us ever seeing Ratchet wield an actual Keyblade. Speaking of Keyblades, which was bound to happen, the Kingdom Hearts series is no stranger to collectibles with rewards, as all three mainline games feature a collectible that rewards the player for going out of their way to collect them. In KH1, we had the Dalmatians from 101 Dalmatians, which got separated when their world was destroyed by the darkness. These Dalmatians were often hidden in chests that were off the beaten path, and sometimes required a specific growth ability to reach. For collecting all 99, Pongo and Perdita reward the player with various gummy blocks, the final upgrade for Arrow, and even a torn page for the 100 Acre Wood. In Kingdom Hearts 2, we had puzzle pieces that were in unique places, which often required different growth abilities to reach. Once you collected all the pieces of a puzzle, you could complete that puzzle for a reward. As for Kingdom Hearts 3, we had the Lucky Emblem, which were basically hidden Mickeys scattered throughout the game. To me, this is probably the coolest collectible I'll be talking about on this list, as Square had to get creative with some of the placements of these hidden Mickeys. I actually have a video ranking every single Lucky Emblem from worst to best for some reason, which I definitely recommend checking out whenever you can. Of course, there are other games as well that reward the player with cheats or cosmetics to walk around with for collecting things. Each Uncharted game has little treasure antiques hidden throughout each level, which gives little points that you could spend for skins, cheats, and even concept art. Circling back to Crash Bandicoot, Crash 4 It's About Time had gems that were used to get cosmetics for Crash and Coco to wear. Then, the Insomniac Spider-Man games had backpacks, which were scattered throughout the city. By finding them all, you get little chunks of lore as well as the homemade suit from Captain America: Civil War. However, this point brings us to the next category, which is my least favorite of the three categories. Category 3. Games with pointless collectibles. These are the type of collectibles that are usually found in open world games, as they're usually disguised as lore pieces that help you get a better grip on the world that you're exploring. While I'm fine with the lore aspect, as I love learning about the world I'm spending all this time in, they just don't give me the same satisfaction as a timepiece or power cell. The metal flowers and ancient vessels from the Horizon Zero Dawn franchise come to mind first. These collectibles are scattered across the whole map, and they don't give you anything satisfying for collecting them, other than a trophy for your trophy list.
But Stacin, that's technically a reward. Yes, if you're a trophy hunter.
You could argue that these metal flowers and vessels can be traded for in-game items, but chances are you won't even stumble into these shopkeepers when exploring Meridian. The presents in Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Collectibles in horror games are stupid in my opinion. I'm already fighting a panic attack as I walk down each hallway. Why are you gonna risk it more by adding collectibles to the mix? Security Breach has 155 collectibles scattered throughout the Pizzaplex, and all of them add nothing to your experience. I think 5 of them are required for progression, 5 of them are upgrades.
Oh boy, I can run faster now.
But essentially, they're all useless. What sucks is that there are 2 missable presents in the game. So if you're going for 100%, you better make sure you grab these 2 hidden missable gifts or you're screwed. Slender the Arrival has documents scattered throughout its levels, and all you're rewarded with is a trophy that may or may not bug out on you. The good news is that all the collectibles in the game are located in segments where you're not being hunted by Slendy or Charlie or whoever the hell this is. I think the scariest thing that'll happen when going for these is this kid jump scaring the hell out of you for touching his drawing. Bendy and the Ink Machine has record players scattered around its game to help build the lore. This game and its sequel have collectibles in dangerous locations, so please be careful when investigating. Look, if I collect one more in-game collectible and I'm not rewarded with a cool perk or animation, I'm out of here. The totems from Until Dawn offer no value. The game tricks you into thinking they're important, as picking one up will give you a premonition of an upcoming event or past one. But for collecting them all, you're rewarded with nothing but things you've already seen. Like, they don't even help you piece together what happened so you can prevent what happens. They're just there to fill time.
Stacin picks up a piece of paper to read that he picks up a piece of paper and begins reading that he picked up a piece of paper to read a piece of paper.
The LEGO games are no stranger to collectibles. In fact, you could argue that LEGO games are games with the biggest amount of collectibles to find. There's gold bricks, character tokens, red bricks, vehicles, you name it. If you can find it, you can collect it. However, the biggest monstrosity of a pointless collectible that serves no purpose, no point other than the stretch playtime, then that honor goes to the red bricks from LEGO Horizon Adventure. In a traditional LEGO game, red bricks unlock cheats like stud multipliers, invincibility, disco effects, funny stuff essentially. Not LEGO Horizon Adventure. They just fill up a checklist. Look, I love the Horizon Zero Dawn franchise, but LEGO Horizon Adventure, that game sucks. That game is an industry plant. There's one last game I want to talk about today, and that is Astrobot. If you've been subscribed since the beginning, you know that Astrobot has become one of my favorite games of all time, and while it's not a true Mario killer, I do think that it did some things that could help evolve collectathons further. Like the Super Mario franchise, the premise is simple. You're traveling with your buddies in your PS5 spaceship when all of a sudden, Microsoft attacks, steals your GPU, and scatters all your little buddies to various planets and galaxies, and you, Astrobot, have to find and rescue them. Now, Astrobot is an evolution of its predecessor, Astro's Playroom, which asks you to collect artifacts based on PlayStation's history. Team Asobi asked, how can we push this further? And thought, let's collect the characters that we grew up with. Astrobot's primary collectible are his friends, and half of those friends are based on different characters from both PlayStation history and games that made an impact on the PlayStation platform. While there are characters based on God of War, Ratchet & Clank, Ape Escape, Jak and Daxter, you also have characters that are from Resident Evil, Persona, Monster Hunter, Guilty Gear, Croc, Rayman, Devil May Cry, and so much more. Now, I know what you're thinking, this is all to bait nostalgia. And you're right. However, the amount of dopamine that fills my brain when I see Sly Cooper trapped in a cage inside a casino, or Spyro trapped in an egg, or Wander gripping onto a colossal robot, it's pure joy. Yes, it caters to PlayStation. Yes, it's one big advertisement, but it's a fun one. Astrobot allows me to dress up as Jak from Jak and Daxter, and lets me pretend I'm going on one more adventure with him. You can't tell me this game is bad. You cannot convince me that Astrobot is a waste of time and money. Please, Sony, for the love of God, please make more, or it'll be the biggest travesty I have ever seen in the gaming world. So what have we learned? I think we learned that anything could be a collectible. I mean, Psychonauts has us collect literal figments of our imagination and emotional baggage, for crying out loud. Pokemon has monsters, Bugsnax has bug snacks, Stellar Blade has literal cans of soda. The ideas are endless. Look, I know I missed a lot of games. A Hat in Time is one of the games that inspired me to make this video, but I didn't talk about it once. I hope collectathons continue to be released. And I hope Collectibles continue to incentivize the player to actually collect them. Like I said earlier, I'm fine with collectibles being used for world building, but you gotta give me more than that. How can we evolve the open world collectible? My comment question of the day is, what is both the coolest and the dumbest collectible you've collected in a video game? Post down in the comment section below for a chance to appear in the next video, and I'll see you next time.